Today, buy now, pay later giant Klarna is launching its own stablecoin, and Keyvan Peymani of Animoca Brands discusses the Web3 platform's plan to go public in 2026. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Talia Kaplan. Crypto markets mixed this morning as new economic data casts doubt on the strength of the economy, but raises hopes for a rate cut in December. Prices that producers pay for goods rose less than expected in September, while retail sales came in softer than initially forecast. At the same time, consumer confidence sank to its lowest level since April amid labor market concerns. Markets are increasingly pricing in the chance of a rate cut in December as the Federal Reserve keeps a close eye on the strength of the U.S. labor force. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin ticked lower, trading just above $87,000. Ether climbed more than 2% to $2,927, and XRP rose more than 3%, trading at $2.19. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF is having its worst month ever. According to FactSet data, IBIT has recorded $2.2 billion of outflows in November as of Monday. That's already 8 times the losses from October, its second worst month, at $291 million in losses. The fund debuted in January 2024. Now, this of course comes as the underlying asset experiences a pullback and investors look toward risk-off assets like gold. Next, the stablecoin space has another newcomer. This time, it's the buy now, pay later platform Klarna. The company this morning announced the launch of KlarnaUSD in an effort to make payments faster and cheaper. Klarna mentions this is just the beginning of the firm's crypto initiatives, and it has more announcements in the coming weeks. The company went public in September, but has since slid from its IPO price of $40. As of noon today, shares were little changed, trading at $29.25. All right, for our main story, while at the Clear Street Disruptive Technology Conference in Palm Beach, Florida last week, I spoke with Keyvan Peymani, Chief Strategy Officer with Animoca Brands. The Web3-focused company is planning to go public in the U.S. through a reverse merger in a deal that targets a valuation of $1 billion. I asked him about that deal and what else is in store for the company in 2026. Thank you very much for joining us here in Palm Beach, Florida for Clear Street's Disruptive Technology Conference.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And you were actually just named Chief Strategy Officer for Animoca Brands. What prompted you to join Animoca, and what are you hoping to achieve in this new role?
Well, so I've actually been affiliated with Animoca for a very long time, over a decade now, going all the way back to its earliest days. And along the way, I've kind of worn different hats for the company as they've needed. And in this period, as we're really looking at the opportunities that are available to us here in North America, it felt like the right time to really lean in and help them expand and explore what's possible here.
And earlier this month, we learned that Animoca Brands plans to go public next year via reverse merger with Currency, which is a Singapore-based fintech firm.
That's right.
And Animoca aims to list on the NASDAQ.
That's right.
So what was the main driver behind this move, specifically now?
You know, I mean, the timing is right? The timing is now. If you think about everything that's going on in our space, if you think about the regulatory environment in the US and what's changed with this new administration, it's been a real interesting moment for us to take a step back and say, what's the best way for us to expand upon and build upon the work that we've been doing all across Asia and Europe? And so with Currency, we found a partner actually. So this isn't some like go find a shell RTO. This is actually a true partnership with a company that has assets and businesses that actually are really complementary to ours, right? If you think about the millions of transactions, last year they did over 13 million transactions across the world, actually, in cross-border payments. And you think about what they've built up as a revenue basis, and then you realize that there's this really interesting marriage between how we've approached the space and think about the financification of really everything when the tokenomics kind of play into it, and how this company and that management team fits into the strategy. That partnership just felt like a really great match. And so we did make the announcement. It was actually a really awesome moment for me personally, just seeing the combination of the work of the team over the last decade, and then also just more broadly, like it's an exciting moment for our industry and it's an exciting moment for the company.
So what will change for Animoca Brands if you do in fact go public here in the US?
I mean, it's obviously opening the doors to a different liquidity market. It opens the doors to an equity market that we haven't tapped into before. It more broadly gets us into the space that we wish to be in the US. We are, in a lot of ways, the index across the Web3 space, right? If you think about us as a business, the investments that we've made across 600 plus portfolio companies, 628 now, the kind of operating businesses we have in the Sandbox and Mocha and AnyChess and EduChain and the advisory services components that we've built up over the years, like all of this is geared up so that the investors out there that are thinking about the space, that are curious about it, have an alternative besides investing in Bitcoin or investing in Ethereum. We think we're one of those opportunities for someone to gain broad access to what is a really exciting growing market, but not to have to make too big a risk on any one token or any one bet. And so what we aim to do is whenever there's something interesting and exciting happening, as with stablecoins or as with RWAs, that we're going to become one of the market leaders and we're going to be a way for the entire industry and the entire retail sector to kind of benefit from the changes that happen within the Web3 ecosystem.
And we are seeing this wave of crypto companies going public, especially this year. Some examples include Circle, stablecoin issuer, and Gemini, a crypto exchange. And Animoca is different than those crypto offerings because it doesn't focus on stablecoins or exchanges, but rather on altcoins. So those other cryptocurrencies, not including Bitcoin and Ether. And as you mentioned, Animoca's portfolio includes more than 600 companies and altcoins. So what would you say makes Animoca stand out from the rest of these crypto companies that went public this year in the US?
I mean, we are first and foremost an operating business, right? I mean, we did $314 million in revenue last year with $97 million in EBITDA. So it's a business that's profitable that actually does look at the world from the perspective of an operating company. But more than that, this idea of an altcoin index, this idea of being kind of your gateway into the Web3 ecosystem is something that's really core to us. We're built on this ethos of digital property rights. And we're built on this ethos of being an accessible place where you can come and learn not only about what the Web3 ecosystem could offer, but what all of the things within Web3 are. So there is this altcoin index kind of feeling to us. But the stablecoins, the RWAs, the universe of various other methodologies that are happening in the Web3 ecosystem are also part of our bailiwick, right? I mean, we did announce a stablecoin initiative in Anchor Point with a joint venture with Standard Chartered Bank and Hong Kong Telecom, right? We do have the RWA marketplace that we're launching on the Providence chain, and in fact, Figure is going to be one of the first assets pools that we're gonna bring on a chain that way.
Another company that just recently went public here in the US.
Yeah, so I mean, you can tell it's such an exciting, vibrant time in the industry. I love to think about what's changed over the last several years, and one of the real changes has been kind of the institutionalization of our industry, which I think becomes a really critical tipping point for us, right? So as stablecoins become more and more broadly adopted, as the RWA space fills with more and more real tangible assets, it gives the industry kind of this period to grow up into something more. And we are, as we've always been, frankly, looking at all of the places in which the Web3 ecosystem can develop and benefit people. And we're always going to be at the forefront of whatever that change is. And so while we look like a gaming company 5 years ago, and that really was our roots, and we're still very bullish in what's going to happen in games and how people can really truly benefit from their time and energy and effort and money that they spend in those games, to have an asset that lives beyond that in the Web3 space. We have looked at every other thing that's come along in the last 5 years and made our mark in it as well. And so you should expect Animoca to continue to do that as an operating company, because while we do have elements of investor, while we do have elements of a treasury business, a finance business, we are first and foremost an operating company that is looking towards this ecosystem as our way to make the world. I actually like to joke with my friends that we're one of the fangs of the Web3 space, right? If you're going to look at us broadly, think of us as one of the bellwethers of the industry.
So you touched on this, obviously, but Animoca has grown to become one of the major players in the Web3 space, focusing on blockchain technology. Gamification is another aspect. but there's so much more to Animoca. So can you take our viewers through what
Sure.
Animoca's goals are, especially as we head into the new year? What can people expect from Animoca in 2026 and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, you should expect a lot of what we've done in the past to continue, right? We are going to launch into the stablecoin initiative in a major way. We are launching this RWA marketplace that I mentioned before. That's a whole new sector for us. The projects that we have under our house, Sandbox, Mocha ID, NHS, EduChain, these are all spaces where we see a way to transform the way that people access digital property rights, a way for people to kind of benefit from their effort and their data. And so with Mocha, that's a digital identity layer. It is a token. It's our flagship token, in fact. And what's it's designed to do is really kind of level the playing field across all of the chains and blocks to allow users to tap into that in a way that they hadn't been able to before. And so as you look at 2026 and beyond, we'll continue to explore these initiatives. We'll continue to grow our own owned and operated businesses, and we'll continue to invest, right? So we are at 628 companies. We invest in dozens of companies a year, and the aim for that, whether it's AI or DePIN or DeFi or games or any of the kind of new sectors and stablecoins and RWAs that are coming in, the aim is to always look at how the ecosystem that we are a part of is expanding and to make sure that that ecosystem is healthy. And so back before the crypto winter kind of took hold, we were one of the primary sources of funding for a lot of the startups in the space. It's why when you look at our portfolio, we have some of the biggest players from Ledger to OpenSea. And when you think about what we will be in the future, you should expect us to continue doing that and continue to find those projects that we think are going to be game-changing for the industry, those partners that we think are doing really interesting work, and then also build our own projects as well.
Peymani also provides his 2026 outlook for Web3. You'll be able to check out his full interview over at cnbc.com/cryptoworld. Okay, that's all for today. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.